Welcome, everyone. We're excited. It's our first official book club meeting. We had been talking about doing this for a while, and I had a bunch of people come and say that they would love to do it. So I was like, all right, awesome. So here we are. Stephanie, another teacher here. Hello. Hello, Robin, Sue, Judy, Jessica. Awesome. A lot of people coming in already. I am very excited. So I'm going to start the way I always do. I'm going to let the teachers introduce themselves. And I'm going to start with Maisha.
As soon as
She
I
was like,
started trying
I
to
know, right? I was like,
multitask.
I always seem to do that.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maisha. For those of you who don't know me, uh-oh, I hear an echo.
Uh-oh.
I am an embodiment practitioner, educator, and guide. I love bringing all the woo-woo and the spiritual down into the body, making it a real thing, and helping people to sort of transform their relationship with anxiety, with grief, with panic, with those states that keep us from shining our light and activating our inner magic. So thanks for having me, Violet. I'm excited for today.
Thank you for being here. And I just wanted to point out that I did try to pull up promotional cards for all our teachers. Unfortunately, Jess, I couldn't for you because you didn't have any events or premium stuff. And I know Maisha doesn't have an events coming up, but she does have a premium track, which I was able to pull up. I don't know why Inside Timer has been making this so hard. Like I literally had to search your name and then go out and then find the name of the track and then come back in and put. Anyway, it's on the screen now. So it's an easy way to find and follow Maisha. And it's also an awesome track. I love that track. All right, Carly, I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Hello from Australia. So my name is Carly. I'm half of A Smile from Heaven. The other half is my amazing husband, Jordan, who I'm sure will either pop his head in or speak from the deep here at some point or in the chat. He'll come and say hello. I am a creative arts therapist or as I like to call myself now, a creative alchemist. I'm here for all forms of creativity, whether it's soul deep, nourishing, healing, or just a little bit of light-hearted fun. It all weaves its way into ourselves for um, healing and insight and wisdom. I run weekly events. I do cacao sessions every Sunday night for me, which is probably Sunday morning for most of you guys. I
4:30
also
a.m.
try.
for me.
I also try to run like some sort of creative event. This week we started something new and I was in the kitchen, Violet. You missed it because it was your bedtime. But we were in the kitchen and we were cooking up, we're doing something new. And so that's called Try It Tuesday. And I'm going to hopefully try to do that again next
Ah,
fortnight. It was so much
what
fun.
time? What time did you do
Well,
that?
it was my normal time, my normal whatever 7:30 for me at night is. So.
So is
But I
that
will
like
try
my
doing a
4:30
try it
a.m.?
Tuesday in the morning and do a kitchen one in the morning so that, it
Please
was
do.
just I couldn't
Please,
do that morning that day. So, but I'm here all the time. Like
please.
I'm here doing all random stuff all the time. But cacao is definitely my love language. It's definitely the biggest thing that I am most passionate about. I've actually got a cacao track for the Four Agreements. So if you haven't already seen that, and the Four Agreements
I
book that we're
know.
going to be talking about today, if it is something that calls to you, there is a cacao track that I've created for that in particular. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that because, of course, Insight Timer will only let us promote the premium track, so I couldn't pull that one up. But I love that
Mm.
track. And isn't your course, wait, I have your course card here
Yeah, I
too.
have a cacao course, which is cacao through the elements. And so that's
Oh,
6 days, six
I
days,
found it.
7 days of going through the different elements with cacao as
There,
well. So yeah,
there it
it took
is. There
me
it
it,
is.
it took me 4 years to create it, and I finally did it. So
That's
yeah,
cool
very
though. And it,
yeah,
and I loved it. I
yeah,
love that course. I took it too. I have on
yeah.
noise
Thank
canceling
you.
headphones and I feel like I'm in a vacuum. I feel like I have a head cold. All right, and Jess, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, my name is Jess. I am a certified health and wellness coach, and I love to come live on Insight Timer and do journaling sessions, gratitude sessions, really build a beautiful community on this amazing platform here. So look out for some live events. I hope to go live more often. It's been so fun to just dive into human connection and connect with people all across the world. So yeah, I'm really honored to be here to dive into this book with these beautiful people, and I'm ready to dive on in. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Awesome. Happy that you joined us too. All right. So, yes, we are going to be discussing the four agreements. And I'm sure most of you know that book. If you haven't read it, that's fine too. You're going to hear about it now. This is our first book club live. So, bear with me because I'm not a book club, what do you call, professional expert. Carly has experience with book clubs. I know Maisha does too. I don't know about you, Jess. I think I've done like one in the past. So I do have a couple of questions that I can throw out there, but I was hoping one of you had something that you wanted to start with. So feel free to jump in. If not, I'll pull one up.
So the top question for me, I suppose I'll just jump in because, that's me. So I've
Please
got the
do.
book here with some highlights that I've took from the book. I've even got the companion book that goes with it, which has got a whole heap of like extension exercises and stuff in there.
Wow.
And of course, being me, I've also got the oracle cards as well. So I was actually thinking towards the end, maybe we could pull a card out as
Or the
well.
beginning, if you want to get started
Oh,
that
if you
way,
want, we
I
can
will.
do a bit.
Yeah.
We can pull our card. I'll pull a card out in the beginning
I
while I ask this
didn't even
question.
I didn't even think of that. I have that deck too. I'm glad you thought of
Yeah.
it.
So for me, I suppose obviously the book breaks down into the four different like agreements, but if we were to look at it as a whole, like which agreement felt the most transformative for you and why?
Yeah, definitely one of
Yeah.
those for me.
That's my question. Which agreement felt the most transformative for you and why?
Does anybody want to tackle that one?
What about you, Violet?
For me, it's definitely don't take things personally. That's one I have struggled with forever. And on the 15th time of listening to the audiobook, which was this past time, I heard something that I never heard before, because you know how that happens. And it was that when someone says something that affects you that way, it's like they're giving you poison. And if you accept it, you're drinking the poison. And I thought, why didn't I ever think of it that way before? I refuse to drink the poison. So that one for me, this time around, was totally transformative. Love it.
Mm. Maisha, what was your favorite agreement or most transformative agreement?
Yeah, I love this question. Thank you, Carly. And it's funny because it has shifted over time. Which one? Right now, the one that feels most transformative for me is always do your best. And I think the reason why it's feeling that way now is because I'm very much in a space of slowing down, going inward, like doing a lot less, like not doing a lot of doing at all. And there's parts of me that are fighting with the part of me that knows that I am worthy of rest and it's okay to slow down and rest. And I love how in that part of the book it talks about like that your best is going to shift and change, right? It's not always going to be the same, and how doing your best looks different from moment to moment, from season to season. And so I feel like, and I've always, I loved that you all chose this book first because it invites me to go deeper with it as far as an embodied practice, and not just spiritual concepts that we think about, but like, what does it mean to know what my best feels like in this moment? Like, what does my yes feel like? What does my no feel like? How does my body signal to me that it's time to slow down, to rest, to do? Um, so yeah, that's the one that's most alive and transformative for me right now.
I love that
I
you
love
said that,
that.
like how we can
Yes.
utilize the spiritual practices from this book in different ways. So, you embodying it with your practices and me doing it with the cacao, they're two different practices based from the same type of teachings. And I think that's a really amazing explanation of how all the different teachers on here can offer such amazing gifts and lessons to the community in different ways. So, yeah, I love that. Jess, what
Yeah,
about
I
you?
also, oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry. I
sorry,
was gonna say, I
Violet.
also, no, 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 it's okay. I also love what Maisha said about your best, learning to tap into what your best looks like. I never thought about that. That's something I'm gonna think about. Go
Well,
ahead, Carly.
we actually just spoke about this the other night on my Try It Tuesday live about how I always talk about being consistent showing up for yourself, and how um there was a lady on a reel the other day who was basically bad mouthing being consistent. Consistent isn't always the answer. It's about capacity. And I'm like, it actually needs to be both, because we need to still consistently show up, even if our capacity isn't at the same amount, which is that same concept of always do your best, because your capacity is going to be different all the time. But if your capacity, even if it's low and you don't show up for yourself,
Yes.
you're not going to see the output of your healing work, because you're not showing up. Even if you're only at 2%, you can show up for yourself at 2%. So yeah, it's capacity is the same sort of thing as do your best. And it's ironic because when I was shuffling, the card that popped out was from the always do your best
Oh,
um
wow. I love that.
agreement. Yeah. And and the back of it, Maisha says, your body is a manifestation of God, and if you honor your body, everything will change for you. Practice giving love to every part of your body. This will plant seeds of love in your mind, and when they grow, you will love, honor, and respect your body immensely. And so that came
Wow.
out while Maisha was talking. So
I
yeah,
think I
I
might
love
have to get that deck. I love that.
that.
Hay House is doing their 50% off right now. I'm not promoting, just saying.
Jess?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Violet. I have so many notes here, so that's why I keep looking down. But the don't take anything personally is a really big one. I feel like my default is to defend, right? And to like
Me
defend my
too.
story and defend my truth. And it's like, no, this is how I see things, and this is how you need to see things. And the book was such a great reminder that we all have our own set of beliefs, right? And kind of taking a compassionate perspective. Like we all come here with our own set of circumstances, we all have different lived experiences. Doing the work that can look so different from person to person. So really, really honoring that. And there was a point too of like, don't believe every single thought that you have too. Like, don't even take every thought that you have personally, because a lot of that is just
Yeah.
subconscious patterns, right, that we've picked up on over the years. So many good reminders. I have like half my journal filled out with notes.
Love it.
I love that. Well, for me, it's funny when you said, Violet, that it took you like 15 times of reading it to get the don't take things personally agreement. I thought that was going to be my toughest one. I got that the first time around. Like that was actually my easiest agreement. The one that I struggled with and the one that actually transformed me the most the second time I read the book was don't make assumptions. Because my neurospicy brain, once I figure something out, I'm like, well, why can't the rest of the world just catch up? And then once I got started on my healing journey, I actually turned into the biggest judgmental bee under the sun. Like, honestly, I was like, why is nobody else getting this? Like, and so I went from like having no compassion for myself to having like all this judgment for everybody else and assuming that they all knew all this wonderful stuff that I knew. So for me, don't make assumptions was actually the hardest one for me and probably the biggest transformation for me that I had. So not like the whole book, obviously, but that one, as soon as I stopped assuming everybody else knew what I knew, assuming, what they thought, or, letting go of all those things, I was like, wow, okay, it's a very different mindset to be in, because once we start learning, we just make that assumption that everybody else knows it as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of making assumptions of, you get a text message, oh, they're being rude. And it's like, well, how
Mm.
do I know that? I'm not hearing them. Like I start making assumptions and I
Yeah.
try not to
Well, I
do
just got
that.
I just got a message so I've got like a trio of friends that we've got a group chat, and one of them is terrible on social media. Love her to death, but she just doesn't use her phone. And I know why, and she doesn't want to be changed to it, and she has it all notifications turned off. The only way I can talk to her is if I actually physically call her, which I think is great because we've
Wow.
lost that art of
I don't do
communicating.
that.
So I do love having my chats with her. But the other one in our trio, she's like sending me a message this morning going, "Oh my God, have you heard from Kay? Because she hasn't responded to any of my messages and I'm worried that I've hurt her feelings or I've done something wrong." And I'm like, "No, it's not you. That's just how she is on social messages. If you want to talk to her, pick up the phone and call her because it's not
Yeah.
you, but she's just gone
Yes.
straight into that assumption mode of, "Oh, it must be something to do with me." And I'm like, "Trust me, it's not. I was talking to Kay yesterday and she's totally fine. She can't wait to see us on the weekend, but I just know, like, I could send her 6 messages. I could send her a few texts even. And if I call her, she'll pick up."
Yeah.
So,
I do the same.
Yeah,
yeah.
I actually, something you said, Carly, made me remember when I was really struggling with this one too. And I feel like, as a embodiment practitioner, I think don't take things personally, and the assumptions are both like I was both experiencing heavy when I was in fight or flight. Like I really recognize that that's when I was really struggling with those two. And it's funny too, because I see it in my clients as well, but it's like it's kind of it's like our nervous system wants to predict what's happening. It signals like this is what it means to feel safe. It's like I have to kind of know what's happening. And so it starts making up a story from old patterns or old stories or old habits when you're not giving yourself the spaciousness to allow what is actually present to come up to be there, right? We start filling in the blanks and like nerves, like this kind of like a survival mechanism I related to. So I really appreciate your perspective on that one. And yeah, it's one that come it keeps it's cyclical for me. It keeps coming back around. And I know like I know how sort of well I'm doing so as far as my practices of being real still and like really being present based on how close or far I feel from taking things personally and assuming stuff from interact just random interactions that happen on a daily, like the one you were talking about, Carly. Super helpful.
And
Yeah.
it can be as simple as, if we're driving along and we see someone doing something like speeding or cutting somebody off or, driving like an idiot, we just instantly assume that they're an idiot or that they don't know what they're doing. We don't actually give anybody any compassion for what might be going on in their life. And look,
Right.
to be fair, they probably are an idiot, especially if they're here in Australia. They're probably an idiot. But we can't just assume that we know what's going through all these other drivers' heads, but we instantly go
Right.
into that, and then that comes back to that projection that, that Don teaches us in the book, that we get upset about all these drivers around us because we're actually projecting parts of ourselves out there because we've probably driven like
Mhm.
an idiot at some point as well. So there's a part of us that are feeling guilty because they're doing what we've done before. And it's like, well, now I feel seen, but let's just point out what they're doing instead. So
Mhm.
yeah, I like how you said like the don't take anything personally and the don't make assumptions really are close together. They're almost like each
Yes.
one kind of morphs into it, and that without
Right.
one you
Right.
can't really have the other. And they're so interconnected that I think that's why they're so powerful when you work on all four.
Mhm.
But yeah, I love this book, honestly. I don't actually read a lot of self-help type of books. I've only got two that I would really highly recommend, and this is one of them. Like, and I think he's just bought out like a hard copy version, and it's like 30 years old. Did you know that? Like, this is like a
No,
30-year-old book.
Yeah.
I
That's
did not know
30 or
that.
20. It's one of those. It's either 20 or 30. And he literally on his profile the other day was saying he's bought out his first hard copy version of it because obviously the concept of this book is that being so small and to the point that it's accessible for everybody, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah. I'll shut up now. Somebody
No,
else.
you can keep talking. Onyx keeps putting his head on my lap, and I'm like, what do you want? I know I have food here, and he's trying to eat it.
Do y'all remember the story of that they told? I think it was in the beginning of the book about the mirror. I don't know if
Yes.
anybody remembers that story enough to share like a little snippet with folks. I don't remember enough about it, but um, basically the essence was, we're all a mirror of each other, right? Everything is a mirror. And so I love how the one thing I really love about this book is that it takes the spiritual concept. It takes everything from like the macro and then brings it down to the micro. So you understand the spiritual concept on a macro level, and then it teaches you how to sort of to create a lived practice out of it. And it makes it so doable, right? It doesn't seem like so far out of reach. I mean, it is a practice and it will take practice, but it doesn't seem like it's so big where you can't accomplish, right?
And it's the sort of book, the sort of teachings that even if you've read it once or 10 times, there'll be times in our life, because healing, as we all know, is not linear, right? So there'll be times where, at different seasons when we're doing our best or struggling at certain times, that I can just pick up the book and go, I just need to reread this chapter. I need to be refreshed on. Don't making assumptions, so it's not like you have to read it from cover to cover every time. If you've already read it once, I personally use it sometimes as just a guide for myself, just to give myself a kick up the butt that I need for that one particular thing, because I might be, thinking bad about myself because I'm having a really bad PMDD week, and it's like, okay, let's kick this in the butt and just reread that chapter. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah, he talks about how he saw himself in everything, in every human and every animal, and that helped him sort of embody this idea that we are all just mirror reflections of each other. We're all just shining our light on each other. It says he had discovered that he was a mirror for the rest of the people, a mirror in which he could see himself. So I love that. And that helps me with the whole don't take things personally, because when somebody's doing something that you have an issue with, or or activates you in some way, it's literally just an opportunity for you to see yourself deeper, to see yourself more clearly. And I think this book like beautifully demonstrates that.
I love that you use the word activates, because I was thinking trigger, and I don't like using the word trigger, so I'm going to remember that one.
What's projected in you when you hear the word trigger, though? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's actually an opportunity to go.
It's overused. Everybody has triggers. Everything's a trigger. What was the other word I said?
It's just the latest jazz word, really.
Toxic and narcissist. I'm like, if I hear those two words again, I'm going to scream. My siblings love to use it, especially talking about our mom, talking about not taking things personally. I have to remember the 4 agreements when I talk to them.
I'm right there with you. It's like, are they a narcissist, or did they just cause you to feel uncomfortable for a minute? And are you able to sit with that and process that and learn from it?
Yeah. And are they a mirror? Am I a narcissist?
No. Let's shut that right down. Delete that from the universe, Violet. No, not at all. I see that Maureen was saying in the comments that she has the audiobook, but feel like I need the paper one now. I love audiobooks. I'm a big audiobook reader, but I do love, especially books like this, I do love having a hard copy so that you can highlight, you can make notes, you can go back and easily, go back and easily find. Like, I've got highlights through the book, I've got tabs through the book, I've got little notes on the margins. I think a book like this that is a constant healing tool at different points in our life, yes, definitely get yourself a hard copy. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'm going to do that because I don't have a hard copy. I got the audiobook in 2004, and I remember because I had just gone back to work after my youngest started full days at school. And I was so excited because back then Audible was really new, and I bought this little tiny MP3 player where I could listen to the book, and I got like a free trial of Audible or whatever. But that was the very first time I ever listened to it. And at the time I was also going through my divorce. So it was very helpful for me. And that was 21 years ago. And since then I must have listened to that audiobook, the same audiobook I still have, over and over again, at least 15 times.
Yeah, if I listen to an audiobook, I usually have to have the physical book too. Like, I only listen to audiobooks when I'm like too tired to actually read myself, but I still want to get the information. So I listen to it as I read in my book and write it, scratch, scratch in the margins.
Yeah. And I'm guilty of multitasking. So I miss a lot of what the audiobook is saying. So I have to play it over and over again.
I'm curious to know like what Justin well all three of you what do you all think about the first one, the be impeccable with your word? Because
Oh, that's a good
that
one.
one I feel like yeah, it's so
That,
layered.
that's a hard one too because I think since listening to the book a few times, I try to be aware of that, but there are times, I might be talk again about my siblings and I'll say something negative and I'm like, it's one of those moments where I'm trying to remember to be impeccable with my word, but that's really hard to do. And I'm also guilty of lying to people when I don't want to do something rather than just saying I don't want to do it. Oh, I'm busy, I've got plans, and I'm thinking, but
Mm.
that I'm not being impeccable there either. Like, how can I do better instead of making up a story? Just, maybe I'm not available, or it's hard to say I just don't want to.
Yeah.
But that one makes me think a lot.
hmm Yeah, my Buddhist community, they call it wise communication. And I really like that because there's different words for it. Some Buddhist communities, they call it right communication or wise communication. But when I think about being wise, to me, it's easier to connect with that. To say like I'm connected enough with myself to know that the words coming out of my mouth are actually truthful, that I mean them, that they're aligned with who I am now. But that also takes practice. And I have similar experience too, Violet, where I had a hard time telling people no, letting people down. I was definitely a people pleaser for a long
Yeah.
time. And so I love that you brought that into it too, because I think a lot of people just think, oh, don't be mean, with the
Right,
words that you
right.
say. But it's so layered, right? It's like, oh, am I really honoring myself by the way that I'm speaking? And I love how too they talk about how your words are your creative power. And I think
Yes,
that that's
yes,
the point that helps me elevate
yes.
that agreement to both a spiritual concept, but also an embodied one.
Yeah, that
Like
makes me
how
think of like I am statements, how we talk about ourselves. Yeah, I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah, he brought up a point around, or actually it made me think of friendships that I've had in the past where it was like a trauma bond and like all we did was gossip, right? When I was younger and like I had an entire friendship formed with someone and I was really close with them for years, basically like complaining about our family members and picking out these specific people and always, like he said, gossiping. And gossip is like a poison that spreads quickly. So it's just so important to surround yourself with people who speak with love. And of course, we're human, like we're going to have our moments, but we have mirror neurons, right? And our brains start to mirror each other and start to act like each other the more that we talk and the more that we hang out. So it's so important to be around people who are trying to seek out love and trying to act from love. Um, so yeah, gossip is just, it's really tough. It's really tricky to be in those situations. It's like a false illusion of connection. Like you're connecting for a little bit, but then when you zoom out, it's like, okay, we're only connecting through gossip. Like what are our shared values? Do we actually align as humans?
Yeah, wow, that makes me think again of my siblings. It's one of the reasons I don't talk to them much because that's all they do is gossip. And I finally was just like, you know what, I'm gonna put some distance between myself and this because no matter how many times I tell them that I'm not going to engage in it, they just keep doing it anyway. So I'm like, all right, then we'll talk less.
Yeah, and I was gonna say too, he brings this up in the book, how we can't change others, right? We can only change ourselves and focus on how we respond. And for the longest time with family, I've been trying to change them and be like, oh, like all they do is complain. Maybe I can change them to focus on the positive. And even recently, like, it can be even things like I notice how much they complain about the weather or commuting, and I'm just like, oh, like you don't have to complain about that. Let's focus on this. But that's me operating from a place of fear and control and trying to control how they show up in the world. So definitely a practice that I'm trying to lean into of like,
It's hard.
Jess, like people are who they are. They come with these set of beliefs. If it makes them feel good to complain, like that's their journey and I can't stray them away from their path. I can only show up in a way that makes me feel most aligned.
Yeah.
Jen in the comments has said something that I was about to say. So, as a witch, our words are our magic. Speaking is like we are. It's that's why it's called spelling. And I don't know where it's come from, Jen, but it's exactly what I think. And in the first agreement, the part that I highlighted was like a sword with two edges, your words can create the most beautiful dream, or your words can destroy everything around you. And that's where it comes down to that our words are our magic. What we speak, we create. Um, for me, the be impeccable with your words, it's so, and I totally see exactly what you're saying, Jess, because there's so many people that that's all they know how to do is bring the drama. Oh, tell us the
Hmm.
tea. And it's like, I actually don't want to hear it. Like, but it also comes down to, for me, every now and again, Jordan will go, "Oh my God, like he'll try to tell me some horrible thing that happened that he heard on the news or whatever." I'm like, I don't want to hear it. I'd rather not know that that horrible
Yes.
thing has happened in the world. Like, I don't need to hear it. I don't need that put out into the universe. I know it's happening, but I don't want it, because to me, that's like worldwide gossip, isn't it? It's like trauma, the fear mongering from the mass media and stuff like that. And I'm like, it's all clickbait. Yes, half of the information is correct and the other half is over blown out. But the I totally got off track with what I was saying. Welcome to my world.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Jen was asking if anybody knows who said that. I'm trying to
Yeah,
remember.
no, I don't know
I
where it
would,
come from, but we say it all the time as witches and stuff. We say it all the time that our words are, our spells. So be careful what you put out there. And like I don't put out something that, even people that I don't resonate with. I don't send out any negative or any hate or anything like that, because I just know that that's going to come back. I'm not going to be impeccable with words to myself and then send something horrible out to somebody else. Like, I wouldn't do that to my worst enemy. I certainly don't wish them, that they're going to have the most spectacularly best life of their life. But, like, I just become Switzerland. That's not on my radar to send out negative. If I can't send out love, I'd send out nothing.
yeah,
So, to me, that's the way in which I'm impeccable, because then that's keeping my authenticity, because I'm not going to be a hypocrite either. Does that make sense in my
yeah.
weird Australian mind? Just is like,
It makes sense in the US too.
Totally. I mean, it's taking a neutral perspective. Like I'm thinking of how, so many people from my past who I still have an issue with forgiving sometimes, right? And like they come up in meditation or yoga classes, and it's really like, Jess, you got to forgive these people. And I'm just not ready to yet. And that's okay, right? And like you said,
yeah.
Carly, it's like, I don't wish them any ill, or I don't wish any harm to them, but I'm just going to take a neutral approach. And if I'm
Mm.
ready to revisit that, I can send them love at a later point. But there's no point in trying to force, sending love to someone if you're not ready.
Yeah. And I think, like, adding on to that, the forgiveness that we need to work on is actually not even forgiveness for them. It's forgiveness for ourselves for holding those people in our life for as long as we did. Forgiveness for beating up on ourselves when we've put up with all this rubbish or whatever's happened in that situation. That whole, for me personally, the forgive and forget kind of mantra, the forgiveness is for me. It's not for them. I whatever they do, that's on them, because I'm not going to make assumptions about their life. That forgiveness is for me so that I can
Mhm.
stop feeling guilt or shame or being unimpeccable with my own words to myself about that situation, so that I can move forward from that. So that's how I feel about it, because it's really hard. You can't forgive somebody that has hurt you, but you can forgive yourself for putting up with it. That's for
Yes.
me where forgiveness comes to. So
That's what I
that's what
said
I
about
wish for
my
you, Jess.
No, that's awesome. I was gonna say that's what I said about my first husband. People would always say to me, "How could you forgive him after all the things he did?" And I was like, "Because why am I going to carry that with me? Like I did it for me, not for him." So I'm with you 110%.
Yeah, you didn't forgive him. You actually forgave yourself for putting up with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm,
Yeah, it's a
mm.
liberation practice, and it is very. I facilitate. I was asked to facilitate a Friday meeting every Friday in my Sangha, and it's Forgiveness Friday. And it was such a
Oh,
challenge for me to accept that, because I was like, I don't know if I want to work on forgiveness every freaking week, Like, I don't know if I want to, like, open myself to that, because it's such a tender hearted, and like it breaks you open, really, especially when you're in a community where people are processing through all the ways that they have forgiven or not, and like where they are on the spectrum of forgiveness. And truly, it's a liberation practice. And I consider it a softening. So when I have a hard time saying I forgive someone, like I just invite myself to soften around whatever situation I feel hardened by, and that really helps me um, be in a place where I feel like I can heal from it.
Nice.
And extending on from forgiveness, like that generally comes down to like when a friendship or a relationship or any type of situation has ended. And last weekend, I did a cacao ceremony about friendships lost because I've recently lost a friendship of a few years. And so I wrote a couple of poems, turned them into songs. We did a cacao ceremony. Everybody loved it. And it's hopefully it's going to be approved sometime soon, so that people can go in. And it's about that soft landing, coming back and not sitting with the bitterness of what was, because there was always good times at some point, and sitting with that as the precious memory, accepting and releasing the pain so that you have the gratitude and that soft landing and not sit in bitterness. And also it prevents us from then tainting all of those previous memories when they weren't all bad. Right. So even like with you,
Yes.
Violet, for example, your previous relationships the relationship itself might have been crap, but you got two amazing kids out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And you wouldn't take that away. So,
Never.
when we sit with the softness of, and this comes down to, I think, being impeccable with our words, because we can so easily get into that story of, when something goes wrong or a relationship ends or there's a tough goodbye, how quickly we become bitter and taint all of those memories and create these stories about how horrible every single part was, but it wasn't. We've just made something big out of it. And so when we learn to be impeccable with our words, we can actually be, what's the word? It's not like do our due diligence, basically, but we can discern. We can discern, okay, well, what parts were sharp? What parts did sting? What parts actually were, hard? And what parts can I still hold with grace for myself, so that I'm not embodying excess toxic, there's that word, excess stuff. Sorry, now I'm going to be thinking about every time I say toxic or trauma or, but
You're
we
triggering
don't want to
me.
be carrying it. We don't want to be carrying it. Okay, that's it. I'm done.
I'm kidding.
I'm
I love
wondering,
that you said that, because I used to always describe my first marriage that way. I was never negative. I would always say, I have two beautiful sons and I don't regret it because of my two beautiful sons.
yeah, I feel like it can be really challenging to
Oh, yeah.
to accept this don't take anything personal agreement when it comes especially to like past relationships that didn't go, the way you thought they might. And I'm wondering if this agreement has helped, if anybody has had that experience of like going through a relationship or any tough relationship, not necessarily a romantic one, but has that, because I think um let me see what I'm trying to say. I think that one was the one that I struggled with the longest. The not take anything don't take anything personally
Yeah,
when it comes to interpersonal relationships, for sure.
that's where I struggle too, because I'm always curious as to what did I do? That's where I start looking at the faults in me. So that's where I tend to take things personally. And even though I try to say it doesn't matter, I don't care, I kind of do.
So for me, because that was actually the easiest agreement for me, so when after I had my breakdown, which I now reframe into my breakthrough, as soon as I reconnected with my wholeness and found my inner light, everything shifted for me. I realized who I was at my core, who I was at my essence, what my truth is. And once I started to build on that, it was really hard for me to be shaken in that way.
Nice.
And I certainly have times, don't get me wrong, PMS, full moon, if they happen at the same time, God help us. But it's that when you are strong within your foundation and your of who you know and your truth, I personally, this is me, only because I'm an extremist, and I think this is where my extremeness comes in handy, because once I got it, I was like, oh, that's it. That's it. That's how it's gonna be. Like it was all or nothing for me. So I was like, well, I know my truth, and I'm actually okay to be the villain in somebody else's story. If that's what it takes, because I know my truth. I know my intention, and I know that I'm only responsible for what I said. I am not responsible for how they've interpreted me or my actions. And when my actions and my words have come from my truth in a loving and kind way and they've taken it wrong, that's a miscommunication on them because of a projection going on within themselves. So for me, it came down to really embracing all parts of myself. So I did a lot of shadow work. Like I sat with the darkest parts of myself and really gave them a voice, let them be heard, thanked it, and realized that they don't have to be in control. They're just a part of who I am. And because that's the part that's really going, is it me? Did I do something wrong? That's the shadow side of us talking. And that obviously stems from childhood trauma.
How do I
that.
shut her up?
um,
My voice, I mean, that voice
well,
of,
no,
was it
it's
me?
not
What did I
about.
do?
Do you know what? It's actually not, personally, I think it's not about shutting her up. I think it's
How
about
do I heal her?
recognizing. Well, no, I think it's about recognizing that none of us are broken, and the fact that if there was a screaming 2-year-old toddler in front of you that's just trying to get your attention, the more you ignore it, the louder they're going to get, right? But if you don't have to patronize them, but if you actually got down on your toddler's or your grandchild's level and acknowledged their feelings and figured out what it was that they were actually trying to express, because at 2, they're only going to be able to tell us in the way they know, right? Our shadow self is no different. It's going to just keep screaming at you like a toddler until you give it
I love that.
the moment to be seen, to be heard, and to be understood, because then it will actually tell you, well, this is all I really needed. And often our shadow self is masking really what's going on deep down. So we think it's like sadness, and really underneath it, it's anger, or it's anger and underneath is sadness or something deeper going on. So actually doing the shadow work and going deeper down into what truly it is and allowing them to be seen and heard, what it gives us, it doesn't stop it. What it gives us is it gives us the muscle memory to build the awareness, so that when it happens, we're actually more, not so much in control, but we're more understanding that this is just our reptile brain talking, our shadow self talking. This is not actually my true pure self. It's coming from something else. And how can I nourish that? Does that make more sense?
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's really a helpful way to look at it. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I'm glad you spoke about, all like the not leaving any parts of you behind and like welcoming all parts of yourself, because I think that's really key. And I think it was Andy that said something earlier in the comment about the connection between unmet needs and these different reasons. I think that they were talking about specifically the be impeccable with your word, but it really the ability to understand what your unmet needs are in any moment, and the way that you respond to unmet needs can go a long way in helping with that. And I love that you said, Carly, you don't shut them up, that voice. You don't try to make it go away. It's an integration process, right? You understand the value of it because that voice has kept you safe or kept you, productive or whatever it is for a very, very long time. And so it had a role, and it probably still feels like it needs to do that same role. Maybe you've changed and you've evolved, so you don't need that same role. But I do parts work, and so it's about like updating our parts, our younger parts of ourselves that have done these strategies out of survival or trauma responses or whatever, and understanding that, oh, I'm a different person now. I can actually try something different in response to this thing, right? I can nourish myself in different ways. Um, and I remember like when I first gave up alcohol, right? I started like eating so much sugar, it was ridiculous. And so I started realizing the connection between like how nourished I am at the beginning of the day. So it's because my body was craving sugar, I would give myself natural sugar, like smoothies and thing, or just fresh fruit at first thing in the morning, just right out of the bag. And then I noticed my cravings throughout the day were a lot less. They were like whispering as opposed to screaming at me, right? And so it really shifted the relationship and my ability to take care of myself differently. And I feel like these are all similar ways of like just figuring out how to nourish ourselves to the best of our ability by who we are now today, right? Like maybe the teenage Maisha did want some candy, when she started feeling her feels, but this grown Maisha doesn't. Like, I actually want something that makes my body feel good, like that I feel well when I eat it. And so, yeah, I think it's just an integration process.
And it's the sort of thing where sometimes when you're in the throes of the moment, it's hard for us to go, what are the tools that I need to be able to get through this moment? Because our brains aren't actually designed to function properly when you're in fight and flight mode. It's just not going to happen. You will not start healing if you are still in fight or flight, right? But what these tools are designed for, any tools that you use, and I say tools as in like healing tools or self-help tools or anything like that, they're actually designed to use after the fact so that next time it happens, you're a little bit more aware. And then the next time it happens, you're even more aware. And then the next time, even more aware until you get to a point where you'll actually start noticing it before it even happens. And then you'll start building that embodiment of, okay, I know, I haven't nourished my body, so I'm most likely going to be triggered.
Activated.
I'm going to be activated a lot easier because I haven't been looking after myself, So, but if you've never done that before, then how are you going to know? You're not going to know what those warning signs are. You're not going to hear those whispers. That's the thing. Our whispers are when we are still and quiet and they're gentle, and often people ask me all the time, how can I tell the difference between our reptile? So Jordan hates it when I use the word reptile brain. He's like, I hate it when you do that. I'm like, yeah, but there's a reason I do it, because it's our oldest part of our brain. It's 300 million years old and it's still there. It's still within us. And its only job is to keep you safe. That's it. That's its entire existence. And back when we were cavemen, we were being chased by tigers, saber-toothed tigers, but we don't have that anymore. And yet we still have this part of our brain because we live in a world of perceived threats. So when we realize that we're not actually under a life or death situation for most of our issues, we can go and calm down. And once we bring ourselves back to that, regulate our system, we can listen and hear the whispers. So when I tell my clients, the biggest way that you can distinguish the two voices in your head, the ego / reptile brain, or your intuition / your higher self, is this side is going to scream. It is going to be loud. It is going to be the voice that wants to be heard. And often it's going to be in questions. What if I'm doing something wrong? What if I'm not enough? It's going to be screaming really loud. Our intuition, our higher self is whispered, and they're whispered statements. I am enough. I'm here. I'm alive. I'm worthy. And if we don't sit in stillness or don't come back to our wholeness and fully integrate and feel who we are, you'll never hear those whispers. That's very soft, and that comes with consistently showing up with whatever capacity you have to be able to meet yourself where you're at. And that's going to be different all the time. But it just comes with showing up, which comes with time, showing up messy, showing up angry, showing up sad, just show up, just do it. So anyway,
It
I've
took me
ranted
till
enough.
no, you're good. It took me till last month to realize that, the whole showing up thing, like I don't know why, it just recently made sense to me.
And that's because, bless you, Tim. That's because
I was gonna ask if you heard him.
when husbands sneeze, everybody hears them. There's no quietening them down. No amount of microphone muting will do that. But
Sometimes you can't hear him snore, and I think he snores really loud.
I feel the biggest reason why people struggle to do the whole show up thing is because they're so afraid of being seen in as to who they are. And because it just comes from, this whole, well, what were you told as a child? Like, how were you told be seen and not heard? Were you told, what you did wasn't enough, So showing up is hard for so many people because it means they've got to take off their mask. And like, because I'm talking showing up authentically. I'm talking showing up with self-accountability. I'm just talking showing up as your weird, your wonderful, your unique self and not giving a shit what anybody else thinks or says or does, because that's on them. They're allowed to think whatever they want. So am I. And you know what? I love myself. I know myself. I know who I am.
I want to be you when I grow up.
Me too. And Maisha, to that makes me think of, the question that you asked about how this pertains to relationships, and then that brings in, Carly, what you just said. So I was going to say, people who are avoidant and who avoid conflict and avoid showing up vulnerably in relationships, relating to what you just said, Carly, like that takes a lot of vulnerability. And I've experienced that in relationships, trying to build connections with people where they just haven't sat with themselves in a deep way, right? Like there's that quote of, they can only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves. And when people haven't done that work, when they've ran away from themselves, when they can't show up messy, when they're afraid to like look themselves in the mirror, how are they going to be able to do that with you? They don't have that skill set. So it's really helped me reframe from, this victimhood of like, oh, these people are hurting me and they're avoiding me and not showing up for me. And it's like, they're not showing up for themselves. They don't know how to do that internally. So how can I expect them to show up in a relationship that way? So, love is so beautiful, but it does require so much. I think he even talked about this at the end, like so much risk and so much courage to open your heart in a way that allows people to see the fullness of you and the totality of you.
And extending on from that is, if you want these other people in your life, if you really choose to want to keep these other people in your life, we have to be able to go, I accept whatever they can offer on their unhealed journey. So when I had my breakthrough, my mum was one of my biggest issues, and she hasn't changed at all. And yet our relationship is so different now because I've changed. I've changed my way. I've changed my mindset, and I don't adapt. If she can only give me 20%, I don't feel the need to fill the other 80%. That's not up to me to do that. But what I do is I accept that she can only give me 20%. And I accept that with open, loving arms. I accept that she has her own issues, her own trauma, her own unhealed journey. She comes from a different generation. I accept all of that within her and choose to have her in my life in a way that works for me, so that because there's plenty of people that I cut off, snippety snip, I'm out, you're out, gone. It's not happening because I couldn't choose to accept what they could offer. So I make that choice to cut them off. But if you want somebody in your life and you're like, if you're sitting there going, oh, but I don't want to cut them off, but I can't handle how they are. Well, then you need to find what's going to work for you, because if you want them in your life, you can't change them. It's not up to you to change them. They've got to do that work for themselves. You've got to be able to accept what they can offer you. Yeah. Otherwise, you're just going to keep putting yourself up for disappointment.
Absolutely. It's one of the things I keep trying to impress upon my siblings. They have all these negative comments about my mom, which is why I don't talk to them often because I just don't want to be living in that. But I tell them all the time, she did the best she could at the time with what she knew. Like, why can't we just accept that and let it go? I have, and they are just stuck on that. And I'm like, this is why you're both always at, doctor appointments and feeling sick because you're carrying it all.
Well, that brings me to a question that I've got on my list of questions here from the book. And so obviously in the book we've got the 4 agreements, but there's the part at the start I think is one of the most powerful parts of the book. So the question is, what did you think about the idea of the domestication of humans?
And how we're all living in a dream.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was deep.
Because really, that's where your family still are. They're still in that, the domestication, they've been over domesticated. They haven't got any free thinking for themselves.
It's
I
crazy.
loved that section of the book,
Yeah.
especially there's a reference in there somewhere about the person who's the most free in this world is a child who knows how to go, nah, nah, as an adult, could you imagine like how easy it would be for us or how much better our life would be if we could just go, no, but yet we seem to feel like we need to fill it with a justification or an excuse or a story, or
Yeah.
because we have been domesticated into giving a reason as why, explaining ourselves. We don't have to explain ourselves. Over explaining is just a trauma response.
Yeah,
It's
I've been finding myself fighting that too. I used to always explain myself, and now I'm learning to not do it. I still catch myself, but as soon as I'm about to give, an explanation, I'm like, "Eh, not going to do it."
I feel like I'm a salesperson today, but I've got a cacao ceremony for saying no, Violet.
I will take it.
But there's a section in the domestication that I highlighted that says, in your whole life, nobody has ever abused you more than you have abused yourself. And the limit of your self-abuse is exactly the limit that you will tolerate from someone else.
Yeah, that's really interesting too.
Mm.
Crazy. Yeah, I like that, Peter. Boom.
Yeah, that section, I think when I first read that section, I read it like a few times, just to kind of let it sink in. And it definitely resonated. And I can really relate to your story about your mom, Carly, because I had the same or similar situation with my mom. Like for years and years and years, especially when I started my spiritual journey, I just expected her to change too, and to be more open, to see me fully, and all of these things. And like a spiritual teacher told me recently, it's not someone else's job to see you. It's not. And that need is something that is actually personal, and I have to work on that. Just showing up. And then if I show up just as I am, I'm authentic and I'm aligned with what it is that I'm really here to do, I will be seen by those who are supposed to see me. And so having this need, this deep, deep desire for people, especially people that I'm close to in my family, to treat me a certain way or to see me a certain way, is just holding on to that is causing is suffering, is causing my own suffering. And it's like in Buddhism we call it the second arrow, right? It's like the first arrow is something that maybe you went through as a child, that maybe my mom put me through as a child that I had no control over, right? And then the second arrow is me hanging on to this idea that things can be different. And so letting go of that actually can lead to the end of suffering in the way of like the self-suffering that we cause ourselves. And so the domestication piece was I'd never heard it put like that. And it's so funny because the way he writes, I did Mastery of Love on this platform, and it's funny because the way he writes is amazing and also hilarious in moments. I'm just like, I can't believe he said it like that. But yeah, it's true. It's like we are so indoctrinated. We're so programmed in so many ways. And I think the more that we journey into the depths and back up to the surface within ourselves, every time we come up from those depths, we see a little bit clearer and we understand what truly matters, and where our energy is best served. And so we're less likely to scatter ourselves in the same way, right? That happens in this domestication and this dream that he talks about. And that the reclaiming of my energy, to pulling my energy, the understanding that I'm sovereign. I think that's where it comes down to brass tacks for me in these agreements. Is like I understand where my energy is best served, and I'm gonna do that. Period.
Yes. Yes.
That's it.
And I tell you what, like it's been 4.5 years since I had this breakdown, and I just recently
Breakthrough.
had my breakthrough. Thank you. I just recently had my mum visit for a couple of days, and I tell you what, it was probably the best visit that I've ever had. You know, she was, and I didn't go into child mode because often when we're around our parents, we fall back into child mode or we get defensive. We try to explain why we live the way we live. I didn't do any of that. I just did me. They had the caravan parked out the side of our house, and I said to them, I get up in the morning, I'm doing my cacao, my meditation out in the backyard. Don't come knocking in here to make you coffee until I've had my meditation. That's my time. Once you've heard me start singing, you're good to come in. So I'm out in the backyard and I'm singing away, and I can hear my dad going, all right, we can go and make a coffee now. I wasn't going to adjust for them this time. I wasn't pretending to be something that I wasn't. And I had probably the best connection time that I've ever had with my mum. And it was a really, not just a powerful moment for me, but also nice, because I'm like, I'm 47 years old now. Like it shouldn't have taken this long to get to that point. But, you know, so, you know, I think when we talk about the domestication, I think the thing that most people in the world probably struggle with is because, like families and tradition, and everyone's like, oh, but they're your family and it's always done that way. And it's like, yeah, but why? You
Hmm.
can't question it. Why? And it reminds me of this story that I heard a long time ago about the Sunday roast. You guys ever heard the Sunday roast story?
No.
So the Sunday roast story
Oh,
goes like it's a roast leg of lamb, and you chop off the end and you cook it and everybody eats it. And the granddaughter or the great granddaughter sitting there going, why do you chop off the end of the lamb before you cook it? And the mum goes, I don't know. My mum did it. We've always just done that. So she goes and asks her mum, why did we chop off the end of the lamb before we go and cook it? She goes, I don't know. My mum always did it. So they went and asked the great grandmother, why do we chop off this part of the lamb before you cook it? And she goes, because our oven wasn't big enough when we were younger.
I love that. As you started
And,
saying it, I remembered.
and as soon as I heard that story, I was like, until someone chooses to question the tradition or whatever is going on over and over again in every generation, is it still needed in this generation? If you've got a bigger oven, you don't have to chop off the end of the leg of lamb, do you? Right? So
Right.
learn to question it. You can still follow your culture. You can still follow your family traditions. You can still honor it in whatever way, but figure out, like what Maisha was saying, does this still serve me and my body and my truth? It's the same thing. You can still question things going on around you and still be part of that culture and tradition, but make sure it's actually something that is necessary, because if you've got a bigger oven, then you don't have to cut the meat in half, do you?
Right.
Yeah.
I love that.
Just it's as simple as
That's
we've been that was so domesticated into going, just we just do it. We just do it.
that's actually brilliant. I love that story, Carly.
That
I
was
had a
great too. Sorry, I was just gonna say that was a great reminder before the holidays. I will need to marinate on that some more.
Yes.
Maureen in the comments, she always saw her mum breaking the spaghetti, and all of a sudden she's like, "Why don't you break the spaghetti more?" She's like, "Because I don't have babies anymore." Boom. You know?
That's
Yeah.
funny. I'm just scrolling back here, trying to catch up on some of the chat. Oh, I missed a lot.
I know. I like briefly seeing some of the comments, and I'm like, "Oh, sorry, guys. I know you guys are
Carla,
here too."
Carla made a comment here. I don't believe forgiveness requires emotionality. It's just a choice to accept what is and move forward with integrity about the situation. Yeah, I like that.
Mm.
Yeah, I've been multitasking, so I haven't been catching the chat. I'm just scrolling through now. Whoops, let me go back. It's the damn Christmas cookies causing the trouble now.
Eat half the cookie. You know, it could be worse. I just tell myself it could be worse. It could be crack. Like, it's not. It's a cookie. And again, it comes down to, as a human species, we are so, we give ourselves such a hard time about what we eat in December, but we actually don't think about what we eat from January to November. Like,
Yeah,
well, most of us don't. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a vague thing, obviously, but um, we've lost the idea of what moderation really is because we're in a instant gratification world. So we don't actually know what moderation is anymore. And that's why, we go from one extreme to the other of never eating a cookie to eating a whole pack of Oreos, like,
yeah.
because we don't know what in between balance is. So, yeah. Yeah, Elizabeth says, I love that story. I'm also hearing the weird made up reasons many people are prone to making up because they have a fear of not knowing why. Yeah, yeah. Like I always remember there was an ad. It was like, I think it was a Telstra communication ad. So, Peter Brook, I know you're here in Australia. Any other Australians here in the chat? There used to be this Telstra ad. Telstra is like our telephone people,
Oh, okay.
right? And when I was growing up, there was a Telstra ad, and the grandfather told the son, or the grandfather told the boy a story, and he went and did a show and tell at school, and he said that there was rabbits on the Great Wall of China because the guy didn't know. The grandfather didn't know, so he just made the story up. So the kid thought it was gospel, and he went and tell the school that there was rabbits on the Great Wall of China or something. And I can't remember why, but it was that whole, you know, again, if you're just going to make it up for no reason, we've lost the art of questioning anything. So
Annie asks, how can she follow the teachers on this live? Annie, I just popped their names into the chat, but also if you go to the link in my teacher's profile, I will have it there and I'll also have it in the Ask Your Guides group. I meant to do that before we started. But if you can't find them, just send me a message. I will help you find them.
Elizabeth, I'm never going to picture the. Well, I tell you what, it's been 30 years since I've seen that ad and it's still stuck in my head. So, I'll have to see if there's find a copy of it on YouTube or something because it was hilarious. Like Australians come up with the most random things, honestly. We're very weird down here. I'm always sending Violet random Australian things and she sends me a message. I sent her a video once of all these people walking around with no shoes on, and she's like, "Is that for real?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like half our country won't wear shoes if we don't have to."
Yeah, because in New York, every time I walk into a store, there's a sign, you must be wearing a shirt and shoes. So I was like, they allow that where you are?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're a weird bunch down here. So, all right, I've got a question from the always do your best agreement. And it says, this is a question for everybody here. What pressure or perfectionism could you release by applying this agreement?
Ooh. Say
Because
that one more
perfectionism is
time.
something that shows up for so many people. So what could you release with perfectionism by applying that always
Mm,
do your best?
wow, that's a hard one for me because I am a huge perfectionist.
That's why I asked the question.
I think for me, what comes up first is just family, like how I show up. I think
Mm.
it was kind of ingrained in me for a while of like, you have to be smiling, you have to, you have to hug someone, right? Like as children, you have to hug this uncle that you don't want to, or like just show up in this perfect, proper way. And, with the upcoming holidays, like I mentioned, I just want to show up as myself. If I'm feeling low energy, that's okay. Like I don't have to match the energy of the people around me. My family's very loud, very chaotic, a lot of personalities. And like, I just want to walk in there and be myself, like act from a place of power, not let them bring me down to their level. If I don't want to be talking loudly, I don't need to be talking loudly. I can just be myself, right? So, yeah, thinking of the upcoming holidays, doing my best is like you were saying earlier, showing up messy, just showing up as myself.
Yeah, I would have to say for me, it'd be the people pleaser. Let that go to stop trying to be a perfectionist because that's huge for me too.
Yeah, for me too. I think it's really just pulling back my energy and understanding um, that what I do to take care of myself um, isn't actually harming anybody, even though because I feel like sometimes in our minds we can feel like it's a bigger deal than it really is if you happen to say no to something that somebody wanted you to say yes to. I have drastically minimized the amount of things on my calendar during this year because a lot of things on my calendar, specifically during this time, really gives me anxiety because I know I need way more rest than usual. Um, so just being okay with honoring the slowness, the slow pace of this season for me is really important.
I love that you said that because I took off 2 weeks for I'm not doing any lies for another 2 weeks for that reason because I tend to overschedule myself and I'm like, you know what? Next week I've got friend's house I'm going to for dinner and my husband's off for the whole week and I'm just gonna chill out and I'm not gonna take on, this packed schedule of stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've taken a break from Inside Timer. This is my first live on here since I think
Yeah, I
last
saw
month.
that.
And it's hard for me because I love my Inside Timer
Yeah.
family. And I have quite a crew that we roll deep.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's like I need to honor
Right.
that I needed
Right.
to slow down. I told them too. I said I need a break. I need to slow down. And they were like, "We're so proud of you. We're gonna miss you, but we're so proud of you." And it's true. I had to resist the urge to like, let me just get something on the schedule. I'm like, I actually
Right.
need to
Right. Right.
not have anything on the schedule for Insight Timer and for a couple other places
Oof. I
where
need to try that.
I needed that. Like my nervous system really needed to just not, even if I know I'm like when I'm gonna have another life, like just not having it scheduled right now is so calming for my nervous system. It just I needed it. So just honoring myself and being okay with that little voice in my head that pops up, the little perfectionist voice. So you need to be doing stuff, you need to show up, people are gonna forget about you and all these
Yes.
things.
Mm.
Yes.
And it's like, it's okay, I'm good. I'll be fine. And so will
It's
everybody
so
else.
funny that you said that because I was looking at January's calendar today and I was like, oh, I got to book stuff for January. I've got November, I've got December. What about January? And it's again, people pleasing, that perfectionist. It's like, all right, what if I just do I love what you said. I'm like, maybe I should just stop scheduling.
Mm.
I've got plenty of time.
For me, as a I'm going to say semi-reformed because I have my moments, semi-reformed perfectionist slash people pleaser. I was watching a documentary. Did you class it as a documentary? I don't know. It was a show with Lizzo, anyway. And the very last episode, there was something that she said that just profoundly hit me. That was amazing the way she worded it. And she said, "Can you learn to redefine what perfect means for you?" Because what perfect is for Maisha is going to be different to what's perfect for Jess. And what's perfect for me is going to be different to what's perfect for Violet. And, and this comes down to what's your domestication around perfection. So when we redefine what perfect means for us, we can still show up in our perfect way because it's our perfect, not somebody else's domesticated perfect, right? And that shifted everything for me, because then I added to that by going, my perfect in the way I want to show up in whatever capacity I have and whatever my best is at that time doesn't determine my value or my worth, because we've been domesticated to think that our output determines our value.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's like that whole, I had one client who even said to me, I said, have you done, because she really struggled with resting without having any guilt and taking time to rest. And I said, it's not about quitting, it's about resting, and resting without guilt, because you're entitled to that. You don't have to earn rest, right? And she goes, oh yeah, no, I took a rest day. I made sure I did 3 hours extra work the day before so I could take a rest day. I'm like, no. And she's like, what do you mean? I said, you just made sure that your output the day before determined that you were giving yourself permission to have the rest the next day. And look, I get it. If you've got a job that, you're required to get certain things done, then, there's certain responsibilities, but you don't have to earn that rest. You don't have to do extra on one day to get rest the next day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
We
yeah,
don't
absolutely.
have to earn it. We don't have to, our output, our productivity, our perfectionism, none of that is ever going to change our value or our worth. The car we drive, the house we live in, the money in the bank, how many lives we do that week, none of that determines our value or our worth. But we've been so domesticated that our output and pleasing other people is what's going to determine our value, that we are ingrained in that mindset.
It's interesting. I'm thinking as you're talking, I had a dream last night, totally unrelated, but kind of related. And in the dream, I had done something on Insight Timer, and somebody came along and did something similar. And this person said to me, oh, aren't you going to say anything? And I'm like, why? What would that serve other than my ego? And I'm sitting here thinking, like, where does the ego play into all of this? Because a lot of my perfectionism, the people pleasing, even the stuff I do on Insight Timer, some of that comes from ego, like you said. How much can I do? So it's like you
But
just like,
you're not doing it from a place of ego. You're doing it from a place of service. You're gifting
how
your
do I
service
know? How
to
do I
this
know?
community,
My
because
question
you're
is, how
not,
do I know?
well, because you're not charging people to do this.
Well, that's true.
If it was coming from a place of ego, you'd be out there charging hundreds of millions of dollars to do the tech stuff that you do. You're not
True.
charging from that. You're
Yeah,
coming
that
from
makes
a
sense.
gift of service. So I wouldn't have never have thought that you were coming from a place of ego, even if you did a live every single day. We've got
That's
plenty of
amazing.
teachers on here that are doing lives every
Yeah.
single day, and they're
It's
still not
amazing. I
coming
never
from a
thought of it
place
that
of,
way. I love that.
yeah. There's a difference. No, no, no. Well, not that I am aware of, and
That's where
I'm
I
sure
always
that most
question. That's where I always
most of the
question myself. I'm
teachers,
like, am I being, is it an ego thing? So you just put it into perspective for me. I love that.
there's a lot of teachers here on Inside Timer, and there's the majority of us here are not doing it for the money. We're not here to make money. We're not
Yeah.
making any
Yeah.
money from it. We're doing it because we're doing it out of a gift of service. So that's not coming from ego at all.
Love that. You've cured me. I can go now. I had one question here for be impeccable with your word. What's one phrase you want to retire from your vocabulary? You know what mine is. What about the rest of you? One phrase that you want to retire.
Trigger.
I think mine's toxic.
Well, the word that I have already dropped from my vocabulary as much as I possibly can, and if I say it by accident, I quickly shift it, is get to. I don't get to do
Yeah.
anything. I don't
Yeah.
get to clean my bathrooms. I don't get to make dinner. Oh, sorry, I don't have to. I don't
Have
have
to. I was going to say,
yeah.
wait, what do you say? Because
Yeah,
I
yeah, no,
say
get
get
to
to.
is the new one. I don't have to clean my bathrooms. I don't
Have to.
have to cook dinner. I get to. I get to. I've done a lot of language shifting. Get to is one of the big ones. And the other one is yes and instead of yes but. Because as soon as you say yes but, the person
Yes.
who's spoken first, instantly what they've said, you've kind of made them feel like
You
what they've said,
negated them. Yeah.
yeah. But when you say yes and, you're actually building on that. It's no longer a competition. You're actually compiling and working together. So they're my two. I don't have to, I get to, and yes and.
I'm looking at some of the phrases. I like that. Should, get around to it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Should
I
is
like that.
definitely one of mine. Should is mine. And can't. Should and can't
Yeah.
are
Yes.
both ones
Yes.
that
I try to reframe can't a lot. Like I can't cook. I choose not to cook.
Just
Yeah,
add,
for
if you do
me,
use it, just add yet on the end. Yet.
I choose not to
Because
cook
that's
yet.
right. See? And there you've shifted but instantly you've shifted the
Yeah.
energy of that sentence.
True,
Because
because maybe next week I will.
can't isn't the power word there, yet is.
Right. Right.
for me,
And the
it's the
truth is,
word, for me, it's the word busy. So I get very activated by people who say they're busy. And then I start to mirror them and say how busy I am. And then somehow, like, my calendar's full. I'm getting all these like invites to do things. And it's like, well, yeah, just because you're focused on how busy you are. So I want to really reframe that. And instead of coming from this like complaining mindset of, oh, I have so much stuff going on, to just really being grateful, right? Like, I'm so grateful that I get these opportunities. I'm so grateful I get to show up for people. I'm so grateful I get to be in these spaces with like-minded people. So I'm really trying to eliminate that word completely from my
Well, my
vocabulary.
my life coach reframes the word busy for me. So I don't use the word busy as much anymore either. I actually use the word productive because there's a difference between being busy and being productive. So if someone says to me,
yes.
I've been so busy, I go, I've actually been really productive because
I'm
then
gonna
it
start
feels like
using
I've
that.
achieved something. Because sometimes we're busy just running around chasing our tails all the
Yeah.
time. But
Yeah. Yeah.
productive means that we've accomplished something and it's actually more empowering. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Lalita says, stop shooting on yourself. Yes, I love that.
So let's see what Ella says. Because I was having a little bit of conflict in my mind when Carly was talking about the ego thing and service. Because I'm like, I've seen people do service out of ego, like that they didn't
Right.
get paid for, but that was fulfilling their ego. So I was having a little bit of inner conflict about that, but
Can
I
you,
didn't.
well, can you add to that? Because I'm still a little curious, because I do worry sometimes about the ego. And it's something I talk to my therapist a lot. She laughs at me. And I tell her it's because I come from a family of big egos and I don't want to be that way. So I'm very focused on that.
Yeah, I'm going to read Ella's comment first. And it says, just a thought, doing something out of ego can also be a yearning for recognition or wanting to receive gratitude, soothing the ego by feeling like a good person for helping many others. There are many quiet needs where helping others is to fill a hole in our own soul.
Yes. Yes, Ella, you're talking to me.
Yeah.
Violet,
So
just because the fact that you're questioning it, I think shows that it's not coming from ego.
That's what my therapist says.
Exactly.
I love
Exactly.
that.
And you know what? I love that we're building on that because obviously, like, I try to see, the best in most people, and I know there are so many egos out there. And look, I'll be fair, there's actually a lot of teachers on Insight Timer that have got big egos, and they do come from that place. That goes back to that whole, I'd rather be on that neutral ground than,
None of
than,
those teachers are here, by the way.
then send out unimpeccable words about somebody. But I totally know where that is, that I really agree with that because I didn't want to be the one to say, there's a lot of people that
Yeah.
work with ego, and I agree with what Jess just said, like if you're questioning, it's like the parent. It's like a parent who questions, am I a good parent? A bad parent wouldn't question themselves,
Right, right, right.
you know? So it comes down to what, and I think the word ego is also another word that is kind of triggering for a lot of people because it's been
Ah,
misused. Like the word narcissist, the word
yeah,
ego is so misused because it comes from a place of, oh, if you do something from ego. But ego can actually be quite helpful as well because it's okay to be proud of something that you do. And it's okay to be proud of yourself. It's like, as long as you're not doing it from a place of boasting or being mean with your
yeah, I
ego.
get you.
That's the
Get you.
difference for me. That's the difference that I feel in way
Yeah.
my It's okay for me to go, you know what? I have enough positive ego within myself to say, I know who I am, I love who I am, and I'm not affected by other people. Some people are they don't understand that because they're like, oh, that's way too egotistical. Well,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not, because if I don't love myself, how am I expected other people to love me? You
yeah,
know?
right.
Um, but if I
I've
was to,
definitely,
sorry,
go ahead,
go.
Holly. No, go ahead. Finish yours.
No, I forgot what I was going to say, but I was just going to say, like I think that it's about tone and context and the way in which you portray it as well. I'm not masking who I am. I'm not pretending to be something that I'm not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say I do have experience with checking in with myself about my own motivations, even as it comes to offering service, particularly in this other space that I offer service in. I initially, when I first got into that space, I was doing all this service work, and then I started getting a lot of praise for my meditations. And so I started feeding off of that. And I think there was a part of me that then started looking for the validation. And then I would feel deflated when I didn't get it. And so I started realizing, like, okay, so this actually isn't coming from this pure place. This is actually coming from the need to be validated. That's something that's an unmet need from my childhood. And so I had to do that work of like becoming aware of it, and then what is it that I need to do so I can show up in this space just as I am and not need any validation, any praise, any criticism, or any of it from anybody. I'm just going to come show up, do what I'm here to do, and let that be enough. But I definitely have, yeah, I've struggled with that before, of like showing up in service because I needed to be validated, because that's not something I got a lot as a child.
Our Back to our reptile side of our brain, or just as a human species, our we're pre-designed for two things. That's love and affection and safety. And love and affection comes from being validated. So there is nothing wrong with needing that validation. There's nothing wrong with enjoying that validation, because there's not, like we've been taught that whole domestication, that if someone gave us a compliment, we've got to give them a compliment back straight away, because it's like, it can't just be about me. It's got to be about them as well, but it's okay to go, you know what? Thank you. I do feel good. I do look good, and so do you. But after you've said thank you, it's okay to have that need fulfilled. It's when we take it to that extreme factor that makes it, come from a place of disservice to ourselves and our authenticity. So, because nothing, like none of us are going to want to do, oh, look at this beautiful piece of artwork, and someone go, oh, look, that's shit, that's not going to be very nice. Of course, we're not going to like that. But if someone goes, hey, look, that's really pretty, I like that, we're going to go, okay, yeah, cool, thanks, that feels good. Because that's my heart and soul that I put into it, right? And so I know there's a lot of teachers on here that when we get given less than 5-star reviews, we're instantly like, oh my God, they hated what I've done.
How dare they?
This is
suck.
But I've actually come to the point where it's like, I actually don't mind receiving less than a 5-star review. Yeah. Does it piss me off sometimes?
I do.
Yeah, it does. But it's also, they're entitled to their perspective and they're entitled to their opinion, because you know what?
No, they're not.
There's things that I've not reviewed 5 stars. There's things not on Insight Timer, but outside of Insight Timer. There's things that I've gone, you know what? I don't like this product. I don't like this service. Well, somebody created that. That was somebody's idea. So why is somebody else not entitled to give them their valid opinion about me?
See, now I feel bad doing that, except that I think we're not making any money, so I want the 5 stars.
Yeah, a bunch of teachers, when I were talking about this, I think we were very divided on the subject. Like,
I go back and
people
forth.
are like, this is a free offering. Why do we have to get criticized about it? You know what I mean?
Right?
Like, why do people have the right
Just take it.
Yeah, it's like, if it's not for you, then just move on to one that is,
Right.
And I totally agree with that as well. Like sometimes some of the comments, like honestly, I've received some reviews that are like, oh, I wish I had known this was for the shower. The first line of the description says, this is to be done in the shower.
You're getting 1 star because I wasn't in the shower.
Yeah, some of the review was about reference. Why wasn't there a reference to my dead pet? And I'm like, it's got nothing to do with pets. Like, Sometimes it just makes me laugh, and then sometimes I'm just like, these people just need help, honestly.
Oh my
Okay, now I'm
God.
crying.
It is what it is, hey.
I forgot what I
Probably
was going to
shouldn't.
say before that, but it's
I
okay.
know. I know. I guess we should start wrapping it up. But if you remember, please, I had asked for suggestions for our next book and I didn't get any, but I have a list of 12.
Got
And
one?
I'm gonna you have one?
What's
What's
that?
it?
Untamed. Stop pleasing, start
Oh
living.
my God,
Ooh.
yes, Glennon Doyle's book. Yes. Here, hang on. I'm gonna add it to my list because I have a wheel for that.
Look at all my tabs for this book. This, and this that I read at the start of my breakthrough was what changed my life. These two books. This book here, honestly, is there's two. I'd say for me personally, there was one or two chapters that got very quite deep in religious and political stuff that I could have done without. But the rest of it, from a learning, a growth point of view, this book here, amazing,
Mm.
All
amazing.
right, well, I just added it to my list. I have 13 books on here now. I know the list is really small, it's hard to read, but I added the three questions, which is also Don Miguel Ruiz, How to Love Thich Nhat Hanh, Five Love Languages, The Fifth Agreement, which I purchased 3 years ago and still haven't listened to, Women Who Run with Wolves. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that, but I love that story
Mhm.
too. Okay, I knew you would know all of these.
There's another
Breaking
one that I could recommend as well if you want.
Okay, I'll keep reading through Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, Atomic Habits, The Let Them Theory, The Body Keeps the Score, Return to Love, You Are a Badass. Love that book. Loving What Is, and I just added Untamed. So if you have another suggestion, just
Yeah.
let me know.
White Hot Truth.
What's it called?
White Hot Truth by
White.
Danielle Laporte.
Oh yeah, I know her. Not personally,
Clarity
but
for
yeah.
keeping it real on your spiritual path from one seeker to another. Like she's
I
like it's all about
I thought
keeping it
that was
real.
another book. I'm like, slow down. I can't write all
No, no,
this.
no, no. That was just the blurb. Yeah. White Hot Truth. Mm.
I have another one. This one's called Pause, Rest, Be
Ooh,
by
okay.
Octavia
Pause.
Rahim. And it's stillness practices for courage in times of change.
Excellent. Got it. Pause, rest, be.
Violet, that's a
Any other?
great list. We should do The Power of Now as well by Eckhart
Oh, The
Tolle.
Power of Now. I thought
Yeah.
about that today, but I had such a big list. I was like, let me leave room for other people. Can anyone
My
tell that
at
I
my
like
last book
self-help
club, there
books?
was a few suggestions, but I haven't looked at them yet. But it didn't start with you by Mark Wallen. Someone
Yes.
suggested.
Yes. Oh, I'm like, yes. That didn't start with you. Can you tell I love self-help books? I think they've helped me.
There's a spinny wheel on the thing. What is that about?
That's the
That's where
the
book
Oh, those are the
selection.
books.
those are all the book
Okay.
titles. Those are, yeah, it's really small because if I make it any bigger, it's going to cover up our faces, but that's how we're going to pick our book. So if Jess, do you have any recommendations, any others, or Maisha or Carly, any more before I
Oh,
spin
the
the wheel?
the Endless Practice by Mark Nepo.
Okay. Oh yeah, I haven't read that one. The
Uh,
Endless.
the Endless Practice.
Got it. Practice. Okay.
There's I don't know what this one is called. Unbound by Casa I can't pronounce that. Unbound.
Unbound. I was like, we'll worry about the Casa Nene Bene if we get it as our next.
Start with
Somebody said
wisdom,
the
wisdom from the hidden life of trees. These are ones that
Ooh,
were recommended at my last book club. So
all right, the
anything
hidden.
about trees, I'm here for it.
Yes, I've wanted to
The
do
Oh,
that
Untethered
book.
Soul. Peta put in the Untethered Soul. I don't know if you have that
Yeah,
one on there.
I
You
have
got
that one. Yep.
okay.
And I didn't hear it, but thank you. But I have the book, and I should listen to that one too.
another favorite of mine is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F.
yeah,
Yes, yes. I'm just gonna
yeah.
abbreviate subtle. Whoops, untethered. Hold on, let me finish Untethered Soul. Oh, I just write of not. Anything else?
Just to say that the body keeps the score is very tech. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
I feel like
maybe.
that's kind of challenging to put.
Yeah,
I
you know
mean,
what? I was thinking about that. I think I'm going to take that one off the list because I had a
Actually,
hard time for that reason.
swap it out with Big Magic
Big Magic? Okay.
because that's the lady who wrote Love, Eat, Pray. Eat, Love, Pray.
Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah. Are there any others on this list that I should take off? It's a huge list, I know. I'm wondering if I could
Well,
copy
then
it
it'll
into.
make it more interesting, won't it, when it's spinning?
That's true. Oh, Ella says, please keep the body.
oh,
Ella, we'll add it next time, okay? We've got 22 books on this list right now. I'm gonna
Yeah,
give it a little
Elizabeth says it would be
shuffle.
a lot virtually. It would be. That's an intense book, that one. It's a good book,
Yeah.
but it's intense.
All right, I'm getting ready to spin.
Yeah.
Okay.
so exciting. I can
Las
see it down
Vegas.
here.
I know that it'll pop out. Ooh.
What is this?
Turn
Return
to
to
Mar
love.
I love this one. Marianne Williamson, Return to
Mm,
Love.
I have that here somewhere. I have it. I haven't read it either, so there you go.
That one was
Who
on
is
Perfect.
my
it? Mary
mind.
Ann?
Yes.
I think that
Mary Ann who?
Marianne Williamson.
Williamson. I'm gonna put it in the chat. I'm
That is a
trying to get
fantastic book.
yes.
Haven't read it yet.
Mary
Woohoo. I
Ann.
get a
look
new book to
it.
read.
It's right here.
Awesome.
I don't even have to go out and buy a new one.
Isn't that
Maisha
awesome?
goes to the top of the class.
I
I
love
love
it
it.
that
I
it's already on my list clearly. So hey,
and you know what I do is I have Spotify, the paid version. They
me
let you
too.
listen to. I love that.
Yes.
All of these
Yeah.
books on my list were in there.
Yes. Mhm.
Doesn't it have like a 10-hour time limit for the month though? So if it's a long audio book, it sucks. If you get stuck.
Fortunately, I do have Return to Love because I love that one. And a lot of
Yeah.
them here in the US, I don't know about in Australia, but in the US, you can borrow them, the audiobooks.
Oh yeah, our library is pretty good. We've got I get a lot of my audiobooks from my library. So let me have a look, see if it's on. If not, I'll get it on. I've got a 99-cent deal on Audible at the moment, so I'll get it on Audible.
Yeah, exactly.
I do the whole you get 99 cents for 3 months and then I cancel it and then wait a few months and then they'll send me another deal.
Yeah, that's what I do too.
Yeah. Return
And
podcast.
Delay asked if I would put the book list on my page. Yes, I will put the book list. You mean the whole, like all, what do we have
All
left
the
now?
ones on the
21?
wheel.
All right, yep. I will make
Yes.
sure to put them all on my page.
So
So you can
Return
check
to
the
Love
link.
is
in my-
available in my library. So I can read it on
Excellent.
I can read it on my Kindle, which is good. So
And you have some time because I did not schedule the next book club meeting in December because I just don't have any room in December.
yeah.
So the next one's going to be in January. Obviously, the
Woohoo!
holidays coming up and all that. So you all have time to get the book, read the book, borrow it from the library. It's readily available. It's out there. Peter writes, are we going to have time to get and read these? Absolutely, Peter. You have 2 months because we're not
You
meeting
have to
again till
read.
January.
You don't have to read them all, Peter, just the one.
Yeah, exactly. Can you
Right.
imagine?
It's your summer reading list. Get through them all by the time the
All
holidays are done.
You shall be tested on every book.
Oh, Chandra wasted no time, just purchased. All right. Either that or you had purchased it beforehand and you knew we were going to pick it. No, you have 2 months. One book, 2 months. No need for cliff notes. Oh, thanks everyone who joined us. This was a great conversation. Like I could literally keep talking about this book for hours. And I know that, we're all on a schedule here, so we're going to have to wrap it up. But this was an amazing conversation. I mean, so many light bulb moments for me. And so interesting, the whole thing about the ego and that I dreamt about it last night. Like I'm going to journal about that later. Chandra says, I'm not going to add that I was driving into, oh, geez, please don't. Oh, no.
You can borrow
Yeah.
audiobooks from the library. That's interesting.
Yeah, through Libby, the Libby app.
Libby. Yep.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So I quickly just shuffled and a card flipped out and it was from the Don't Make Assumptions category. It says, ask for what you want. Find the courage to ask for what you want. Others have the right to tell you yes or no, but you always
Yes.
have the right to ask. Likewise, everybody has the right to ask you for what they want, and you have the right to say yes or no.
Yes. That's
What a
something I
nice
have
reminder.
to. Yes, I
Mm,
have to keep reminding myself of that. Yes, I love it.
yeah.
Mm.
All right, so I think we are going to wrap it up. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Please follow the teachers if you haven't already, if you're not already following them. As soon as I get off this live, I'm going to post their links in the Ask Your Guides group, and it's also going to be available through the link in my teacher's profile. And like I said, if you can't, for whatever reason, find them, just send me a message. Oh, you're welcome, Blossom. I didn't get to say hello. There's so many teachers here. I see them floating around the top, and I didn't get to say hello to any of them because one of the things I was trying to do was to honor my time when I'm in these groups with these amazing teachers. I tend to not listen to anything anyone is saying because I'm busy with the chat and the tech. And today I was like, you know what? I'm going to pay attention to the conversation because these conversations are awesome. And I sit here and I miss half of them. So I wasn't doing my usual, let me keep up with the chat. Missed a lot of the teachers. Hello, and thank you all for joining us. Ella says, love this. It's been a great conversation. I loved it too. This has been an amazing conversation. Do any of you want to say anything before we go? Any of the teachers here with me?
I just want to say thank you all for spending your time and energy with us, for feeding your energy into the chat and for bringing this alive. There's a part in the book, if you have it, called Breaking Old Agreements that I think is really important to really embodying and living from these principles. And lastly, I won't have any lives here on Inside Timer probably until December, but if you want to check the link in my bio, I'll have some other opportunities there. I love you all and thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Jess?
Thank you so much for having me. This was so wonderful. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you to everyone in the chat. I see all the hearts. Thank you, friends. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to be here again with all of you.
Oh, I love what Elizabeth said. Be unapologetically present. Yes, I am working on being present. Even with my husband, I noticed recently that, sometimes he'll be talking to me and I'm like looking at my phone. I'm looking at, now I put whatever it is down. I've actually been watching TV in the evening with him. We like to watch certain shows. And I put my phone aside and I don't look at it for hours. And that has been so amazing. So I'm glad you said that, to be present. And Carly, what would you like to say?
Well, I feel like I haven't stopped talking. So,
Well, first of all, when I first told you that we were going to do a book club,
hi.
I wanted to call it Carly's Book Club. She wouldn't let me.
No, because I wouldn't let you. My real estate lady has just walked in. So say hi to everybody around the world. Hello.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you had somebody coming. It was your fault for talking this long.
I loved there was a section in the book and I thought I had it tagged, which what my issue was saying about breaking those old agreements. I really loved that part of the book. And it reminds you also that you need to make new agreements because you can't just break old ones. You've got to also then do that embodiment work and create those new ones. So yeah, I think that's a really nice reminder
Yes.
from Maisha that that's part of the work, isn't it? Like showing up. So yeah, I could talk
I
about
love,
this book. I could talk about all
I
these books
know,
for
I know, I
hours.
know.
So
I loved that
um,
last little chapter on prayers too, because that one prayer about loving others, loving yourself, and so you can love others, that really spoke to me because that's something that also I've been working on. I know I've shared with a lot of people Viola Davis's speech to her daughter about being the love of your own life. And when I first heard that, I was like, wow, I stopped putting that burden on everybody else of like, you're supposed to make me happy. And, you know,
mm.
suddenly I was like, you know what? I am the love of my life. And I was like, suddenly nothing mattered. I was, my husband was great again. He knows this. And I stopped with these expectations on other people. So yeah, I love this book. Love it.
Well, that's the like when I do my work for me, I can give myself the love, the happiness, the joy that I need. It's not up to somebody else to fulfill that for me. Anything I get from everybody else is a bonus that
Right.
overflows my cup, but it's not
And I
needed.
remind myself that they're not going to love me as well as I can because I know what I need.
Yeah, exactly. Mm.
All right, my friends, we're going to say goodbye. We were supposed to be done 15 minutes ago, so we're a little behind, but thank you for hanging out with us. And we're looking forward to the next one. Bye bye. And I'll just have to find that button. There it is. Too many screens.